Hmm. Hello, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. Okay, audio sounds good, everything looks good. So, this is the live streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing the Sashiko stitching. This is not a lecture or webinar or tutorial, so I'm not gonna answer the technical questions, but I would like to answer any other cultural or story related questions. So it's not gonna be like nothing will happen over the camera besides me stitching itself. So if you could bring some of your own stuff and then stitch together for this about 1 hour or so, I will answer the questions if there's any, and if not, I will talk about something out of my mind. The whole purpose is for me to leave my voice as well as the work itself. Okay, few announcement. Well, always the same announcement every week. But I do have the in-person workshop in 2025 in March and in July and then in August. Those are the fixed date, and I do not think that I will increase from here. So those three opportunities are the in-person workshop in 2025. So if you not if for those who are interested in learning Sashiko from me in person, please look at the summary in the description area. It's the SashikoStory.com's news. And also, I have fixed the date for Sashiko Japan Tour 2000, not a tour, Sashiko Japan Retreat 2025. It's a series of Sashiko workshops, Sashiko classes in Japan. It's going to be 10 days of pretty much stitching all the time. And I fixed the date. I have not opened the registration to the public yet. I plan to do so toward this month, toward the end of this month. So at this moment, if you'd like to be on the waiting list, please visit the website and then fill out the Google form so I can send you the invitation. After I clear those invitations, I will make it available to the public, which I don't know when. I mean, I said toward the month, well, toward the end of this month. I hope that I can make that available. If there's no seat left, I might not do that, but it should be okay. Okay, let's start stitching. Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for coming. I am extremely sleepy again today. I think it's because of the weather. It's because of something I don't know, but I'm extremely sleepy. I mean, it's probably hibernation time. I'm probably being hibernated time. So if I'm extra slow or uncensored, please let me know. Well, that might be already a bad English. Anyway, okay. So today's Sashiko is just this small furoshiki I made. I'm sorry. For the Fukubukuro Lucky Bag for 2024, we put this small, ready-to-use indigo fabric for this small wrapping cloth. And I had some options. I had some ideas of stitching. At the same time, it's gonna take some time. And then I remember that this was one of the kind of popular Sashiko I did in 2024, and as much as I would like to bring around, it's pretty heavy, so I did not take it back to Japan. I probably will not take it to the workshops unless I'm driving. So I will make a smaller version so that we can I can bring the taste or touch of it. That's what's gonna happen here. That's what's happening here. Oh, the weather is so crazy. And I don't want to blame the weather, but I'm so sleepy all the time. Good afternoon from the Australia and from the future. Yep, from tomorrow. Welcome, welcome. I always kind of like, I understand the idea of time difference, but it's kind of amazing that we have that kind of difference. Especially the New Year's Day, I always feel like the future is coming there, yet not here. Reality itself is not catching up yet. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for coming. I might be extra quiet today because my brain is about to shut down. I really am sorry for this, but for some reason, well, the weather. I don't think I'm well designed for the cold weather. So, if you have any request of question for me to talk about, uh, then I will be a little more awake. Welcome, 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 welcome. Canada, well, probably, yeah, it's probably cold. It's like single digit to below 0 in Fahrenheit. And, I'm from the mountain city, not a mountain city, so we had quite a lot of snow in Japan. When I was a child, we had a lot of snow. And I think I'm somewhat designed to be okay in the cold weather. But this one is pretty cold. Well, cold weather is actually good for sashiko stitching because, sashiko was developed in this crazy weather. When you work on the nice big fabric like this, it's extra layer. Even while you're stitching, while you're touching the fabric, it's the layer of fabric. So over the summer, it gets a little bit problematic because you will sweat a lot. We will sweat a lot. But over the winter, it's actually good for hands and bodies. It's like both stitching, crafting, hobby, yet keeping things warm. But again, I am not. I like cold more than hot, but I think when it's like a single digit, it's not even like a cold, it's like painful. So I hope that everybody in the north hemisphere keep yourself warm. Okay, so it is too cold from Canada, from those from Canada, so I feel much better. It's not a me. It is cold. So I will talk about it later, but I will join the like a slow stitching retreat happening in August in Maine, state of Maine, which is I think northeast of the United States. And organizer, we had a little bit of conversation over the sorry, not over, before we before I agree with joining that retreat. She summarized my message quite well, surprisingly well. I mean, when I look at that, it was I was amazed by the summary, so I will introduce that because that was very good summary of my messages and why I'm teaching and what is the reason that I'm here. So yes, it's the event called A Gathering of Stitches. It's probably pretty famous, I guess. I did not know that. So for those who like stitching, it's probably pretty famous. But it's my honor. It isn't an honor to be there. So the QuiltCon itself is sold out already. The workshop in QuiltCon is sold out. But in 2025, I planned 4 opportunities: QuiltCon, I have Fiverr Studio in Florida, and then MISA, Medellin Island School of Art in Wisconsin, and then this gathering of stitches, which is in Maine, state of Maine. And I mean, I may add 1 or 2, but I don't think I will, because no, I don't think I will. I need some time to stitch too, so teaching requires a lot of energy and preparation, and well, it really is something big. I sometimes get a review or like feedback saying that, well, you've been teaching for a while, so many times already. Like, you don't have to be nervous. You'll get used to that. I think yes, in terms of the practice-wise, I get a lot of practice on those workshops to teach. At the same time, it does not make me feel less easy. It does not make me feel less challenging. It never gets easy because I may repeat those workshops several times in a year, and I've been doing that for like 8 years, which means so many opportunities to do that. So it might be one of many for me to teach, but for those who take my workshop, I really appreciate them taking my workshop. For those who come to the workshop or come to the class to learn that, it's the only one time, one shot for them to learn from me. I mean, there are quite few who take the same workshop several times. At the same time, majority join the workshop for the one time. And for me, it's like, it's not them who has a one-time shot. It's me who has a one-time shot to share what Sashiko is. So of course I get nervous because I'm so afraid of sort of failing. I prepare everything to not to fail, but at the same time, the nervousness comes from the possibility of failing. And that's why I don't really I'm always nervous. If you find me shaking in the QuiltCon, don't point it out. Just laugh at it. Look at me as if I'm really like, I'm so nervous, and it's not a figure of speech. I probably am shaking. It's like I don't know. I'm afraid of the failure. Not because of the reputations or not because of some values, but more like losing the opportunities is kind of the worst thing I can imagine. So that's why I cannot teach that often. Like, I once taught every month in 1 year, but that was a little bit too much. I lost a lot of balance. So That's the kind of philosophy behind my teaching. Sorry for yawning. I'm gonna cover this. After this much thread, before I change the thread, I will introduce the summary. I brought it as the screenshot so I can introduce that. It's on their website, so it's not, some secret things. Instead of asking you to go to the website, I thought I could introduce the summary here. But yeah, it explains why I am so eager to share what I'm doing. God, I keep saying I'm sorry, but I'm feeling sleepy today. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the comment from Adrian. Maine is beautiful. I have never been to Maine. In fact, the Boston is probably the furthest I have been in that area. I never taught in Boston, but my friends. I've been trying to get my chat feature to work. I think I figured it out. Hello, Leah, you did. Thank you. I thank you. Yeah. So this one is something I did last year. Then I think it got quite good response, and yeah, I wanted to make a smaller version so that I can carry it around. It's a little too heavy, too big of item to carry around. Is the trip to Japan open to anyone who would like to go? Yes. But, well, not a but. Yes, and this time the Japan Sashiko retreat include the online Sashiko class of the Koan Essence that I ask you to take. And for those who actually have taken those Koan Essence, I will deduct that online class version of the fee from the total. So if you are the graduate of Koan Essence in the previous workshop, anyway, it's fine, unless it's like 6 hours length. I used to offer 3 hours length workshop before 2018 or 17, but in that case, I will ask you to take the online class as well. But yeah, anybody can join. Oh, Kirsten, thank you so much for recommending that. Which palm thimble do you recommend? This thimble is actually not a recommendation, the only thimble I use. And I think I have the link on the description area. I believe that. Yep, there's a link for the supplies. Yes, Sashiko needles, Sashiko thimble. So yep. Well, I mean, please visit the website. I sell those. I sell the supplies I use in this workshop, not workshop, in this live streaming. Leah, you might come. That's awesome. So that means a lot to me. It's not really, it's pretty. It's it's costly. I try to make everything as comfortable and authentic as possible. As the result, I cannot like chip it down much. But see, Adrian also too. There are 3 people who asked me if they could rejoin even for the second time. So yes, of course. Of course, anybody can join even if for the second time. But I will be fair with everybody else, so please join the waiting list. Please join the waiting list. I wish I could go on a retreat again, but I should probably go on. Yes, you should, Adrian. You should. You have to take your family. I mean, at the same time, once you go there with me as a retreat, you can contact anyone you met in Japan by yourself. Of course, I can be a translator, or I can, I will make sure that everybody go through the same thing. But don't worry too much about it. But yeah, it is my goal to keep offering the same retreat every year, but at the same time, it might be quite difficult to keep offering that. This time, not because of me, because of the other conditions in Japan. So, like the last time when I said I might not be able to keep offering the Japan back then tour was because of my family, because the condition of my family was not allowing me to do that again. But this time it's something out of my control, and let's see what I can do. I will do my best to keep offering that. But yeah, I believe that it's a good time. I do my best to make sure that everybody learns something. I mean, on top of that, I want you to be friend with other Japanese artisans if possible, and then I want you to meet with others who are serious in this Sashiko culture. Because of the language barrier, because of the English, because of the a lot of differences, my voice may be the only one in English from Japanese Sashiko artisans, but does not mean that I'm the only one. And it's much healthier if anybody can learn from other Sashiko artisans, like Japanese one. And it is my really goal to introduce as many Sashiko Japanese artisans possible online, on the videos, or even organize the workshop in English. At the same time, it's quite difficult for them to convince. No, it's difficult for me to convince them to be on the platform. So it is taking a long time to do it. We have to kind of have the basic trust on that, which I think it's reasonable, right? Like we have to have a very good trust for that. Thank you for the feedback, Leah. Oh, I forgot about the. Sorry, I will show you the description. Yup. I hope you can read. Is this too small? It's too small for me to read, so I'm gonna read differently. Pardon my English reading out loud. So this is the description that organizer wrote on the gathering of a gathering of stitches, the gathering of stitches. It was very good. It is a very good summary of what I teach. It's if I can get a permission, I might use this description somewhere, like everywhere. So Atsushi's bringing his deep knowledge of the Japanese tradition of sashiko to slow stitching. Sashiko, as introduced in English, primarily focuses on patterns and the technique aspect of how to stitch. Some resources may emphasize how to make even stitches. Occasionally, there is a teaching style that promotes the idea of embracing the imperfection. While it is true that we can embrace imperfection, when a teacher starts encouraging the acceptance of being clumsy, it marks the end of truth wisdom. In the Western approach to learning, Sashiko is generally categorized into two broad groups. One, improving participants' skill in needles control, and second, emphasizing freedom in stitching. However, neither one nor two truly captures the essence of Sashiko stitching. Since many English-speaking teachers have not undergone the proper experience in Japan, they can only interpret Sashiko from their own perspective. Their teaching are not incorrect, but they lack the most crucial element of Sashiko for us as a collective of Japanese Sashiko artisans. In this Sashiko workshop, you will learn the form of Sashiko, which leads to mastering the unshin, the movement of the needle. This workshop is not the kind of experience that says, let's enjoy Sashiko together. It is an intensive learning process that may involve a challenging and uncomfortable phase as participants acquire new skills. We all have muscle memory from past experience, and some must break old habits to develop new muscle memory. Once this is learned, one can use both the old and new muscle memory, but learning period can be quite challenging. Most participants find them form within this time, while others develop their own rhythm and form after continued practice. Understanding the fundamental form and rhythm is essential in our Sashiko practice. I cannot add anything. That's fantastic summary. It's probably a summary of what I said in the previous live streaming, but for some reason I can say those things out loud. But if I have to summarize it into one description, I have never come up with that. That's so. I am not really criticizing those who teach Sashiko in English. I am criticizing those who teach Sashiko in English as if they know everything, as if they present as if they know everything, or misleading the students to one simple answer. So teaching Sashiko itself in English is not anything good or bad. It's just, it is. And what is taught in the workshop is also okay because that's their style. Spreading the incorrect information that they're teaching is let's say one stop for all learning about Sashiko, or like if you take this workshop, you'll understand full picture of Sashiko. That is the problem. So, and that's another reason that I keep asking everybody to take the core and essence first, because without that, we cannot have the same common sense. I would say common sense to proceed it together. So that's the reason behind that. But yeah, I agree. It was a very good summary. And it's very personal, but I cannot believe that I was doing a horrible job in the high school English. I could read. I could not read when I was in high school. Gosh. See, like the language itself is like I never think that one has to learn Japanese to enjoy Sashiko or even master Sashiko. Of course, Japanese language is a plus. One, if they can communicate to Japanese Sashiko artisans in Japanese, that's of course plus. But I never say that it's necessary to enjoy or to master Sashiko. But if one teacher saying that, well, I'm trying my best to learn Japanese, yet teaching Sashiko, then that's a little bit of, well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. If one is representing the whole picture of Sashiko and yet not being able to speak Japanese, that's a little bit of, not a little, that's a pretty big contradiction. Once again, like if you're teaching Sashiko as a part of Sashiko, like let's say that my teaching is based on Atsushi's saying, that is perfectly fine. You don't have to be able to speak Japanese. But if one is teaching Sashiko as if they are covering every part of Sashiko, then language itself is quite important. And sometimes people make jokes, like not jokes, people make excuses that, well, I don't have enough time to do that. Well, then they shouldn't represent that. So language itself is pretty, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's the matter of time. Of course, some people can do it easier. Some people might require some people might require more time, but it's just the matter of commitment. And, they cannot say it's the hobby. If it's hobby, that's okay to take some time, or it's perfectly fine. But just if they're gonna make it like more professional thing, then I can't do English. I can read that much English right now, and which was quite impossible. Or I don't think any of my teachers in high school believed that. Even though I'm speaking right now, even though I am, I was reading that, I don't think none of the teachers would believe that. I wouldn't believe that. Because I failed universities because of the English. Oy vey. One of my goals this year is to learn some Japanese. That's great. I hope my daughter will do that too this year. But yeah, so language is, but we have a nice tool right now. Duolingo is really, not only Duolingo, but like those apps probably will help a lot. And don't be shy. That's probably another things. Yeah, I'm really glad that some of my message has been received, if I may say that. I was a little bit burned out last few days, and that's why I did not make any post on the Instagram, but I know that I have many of you here who listens to me every week, or who read all of my writing there. But sometimes until 2022, 23, even last year, Sashiko was introduced as the Japanese ancient embroidery or needlework or stitching. In 2024, last year to 2025, now that description itself is changing. Right now, Sashiko is introduced as the ancient or centuries-long mending technique. That's how culture changed. Mending is very, very important part of Sashiko, but it's not it. It's not even the center of it. But right now, it has become it. By saying that people are defining the word based on somebody's information, and then they mean well. They are doing that on the good intention. They like those people who spread those information don't have any like shady or hidden purpose to spread those information. They are simply good people spreading the learning they did. So when they say that, they are simply believing that Sashiko is the word for the mending technique, essentially established. That's the strategy. That's the sadness happens. That's really sadness because there are people behind those trends that keep saying Sashiko is the mending culture, and then they get benefit out of it. They are using people's goodwill to promote their business or profit, and that's what I dislike the most. It is very, very. So I'm not really blaming or criticizing those who are enjoying Sashiko right now. It's just the behind it. There are some. It is not my intention to list those people or list those organization or whatever. But I don't mind telling them if that's the case. If I have to tell them in person, I will. I tried to learn Japanese, but it's hard to do alone. I was a lot of writing, rewriting. I like Sashiko because it is meditative. Yeah, like language requires a lot of practice in terms of speaking. So, I'm not saying it's easy, but another thing is that if one is teaching Sashiko as if they know everything about the culture, they should be, they should have been in Japan, right? Not only once or twice, like, so that's kind of like the, kind of like an unfairness, I feel like. Again, like once again, I don't, this is very important and I do not want to leave any misunderstanding. If one is teaching Sashiko in English, knowing what they're teaching, I have no problem with that. If they're saying that this I'm teaching this Sashiko developed here, taught by somebody, or I am teaching Sashiko a Sashiko in the part of the bigger picture, and then in order to learn bigger picture, please please refer to these people, blah blah blah. So if you're being a guide of Sashiko, I really appreciate you doing that. Not only teaching, but spreading the word itself is very, very helpful. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those who present themselves that they know a lot more than they do. A lot more than they do. Wow. And most interestingly, they don't stitch. I don't know if they're stitching. Teachers don't stitch well. Or much, for that matter. They might stitch well, but they don't stitch much. I took a short course at the local university, but it was a pre-recorded. Ooh, that's sad. No classroom discussion sounds a little bit sad. But it's probably what it is now. Yeah, speaking is really important. But I believe that there are Japanese online class. I don't know. I have never looked into that because I don't need it. But in this world, there should be something. Yeah, I learned a little, but I think I would have learned more if there were someone to speak language with. Yeah, of course, language has to be used. Oh, so it was online class. Okay. Yeah, online class. But I cannot. I have to look into that. But there might be some online class required, like with online class with some live talking. Well, probably that will probably cost a lot more. The Japanese American Society of Washington, D.C. offers online class several times a year. They are by Zoom and they recommend writing kana class to start. Those are probably free souls, I guess, or very reasonable costs. So there are opportunities, there are resources. So I don't buy those excuses anymore. I used to. I used to talk to those people who share what Sashiko is. It's just, it's getting nastier and nastier because of the trend. English may be my second language, but I sort of lost the language I was fluent in. I can pick up word, but to embrace to speak in my native language. I understand that though. Like I'm losing a lot of Japanese word. It's quite. That's why I think I keep doing the Sashiko Live Streaming Japanese too. Are you looking at the right side or back side of my work? My work, I don't have the answer for that. But the fabric wise, it's the wrong side. My work do not define back or right, right or wrong, back or right, right or back. So this can be a wrong side or this can be the right side. It doesn't matter. It's the same. But the fabric wise, I'm stitching on the wrong side. I believe it was $300 or so. Wow, that's pretty good. So yeah, there are a lot of resources, and I believe that there should be some like what personal chatting online class or something. I don't know. I have to look into that. But it's a pretty big business in Japan for those who wants to learn English. So there are always like online like 101 language class. I'm planning to join a local Japanese conversation group. The last time I spoke Japanese was in Japan. It's only helped to actually speak. There is a Japanese conversation group. Wow. That is so awesome. Everybody lives in the big cities, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's really helpful to talk. I wouldn't be able to brush up my English without talking too. Well, this live streaming is one big help. I, a few years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years, I could not really sustain this live streaming for 1 hour because I couldn't just keep talking for an hour. Bye bye. Have a good evening. Thank you so much for coming. God, it's making some noise. Well, it's cold. I mean, we gotta do some insulation. Well, I mean, minus single digit and minus something is probably not the matter of insulation, but this house is a little bit old. We need a little bit of update, I guess. For the, I mean, thankfully we are not. We can afford to purchase the enough electricity and stuff. We're not suffering from the heating issues, but I'm pretty scared of looking at the heating bill next month, so I'm trying to minimize it. Stitching makes you warm a little bit, so as much as I can, I will keep stitching. Stitching makes you hand warm, right? Like all the movement will keep your hand warm. Also, this is the fabric, so it's good. It's good for your hand. And the leg gets cold, but like for example, typing computer will make your hand quite cold if you're working on that in the cold room. Like using the mouse or like tap or whatever it is. The back here is gonna start getting very, very cold. I mean, not don't say that increase the heat in the room. I'm talking about the kind of stingy lifestyle of saving some heat. And so instead of typing, when you do the sashiko, your hands at least get warm. So that's a good stuff. My hands are warm right now, although my whole body somewhere else is a little. I mean, my feet is now cold, I guess. Just pile up blanket, yes. That's what I do tonight. I mean, usually. Yep, blanket is all good. Stitch if it's stitched, even better, because it will hold the heat in it. Okay. I have hoodies on and doing some beeswork. I like that. Okay, what was the next? Oh, oops. I. Well, it's kind of too late. But I kind of made a mistake. I did not follow this color order. Oops. Well, it happens. It's a mistake when I realize it, when I call it, it's a mistake, but it's not a mistake unless I define so. So, well, it's my bad. I cannot believe that I did not confirm. I didn't check it until this much stitching, but the color should change. What the heck is going on with the camera? Is it doing all the time when I move the hand? Was it moving all the time? Wait. Was it auto-focusing all the time when I stop? That's annoying. Just a second, I have to fix that. Oops, I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. Auto-focus. Mhm. Well, I will fix it for next time. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's if I do that, it's gonna get autofocus. That's not something I wanted to do that. Just give me a little bit of moment. It bothers me. Oh my god, I'm sorry. What? I don't know. I will see what I can do next. Oops. Oops. Probably fixed. Sorry, I'm gonna just do one more round of thread because I took that out, so. Yeah, it started back again. I will figure out something. Wow, that was probably annoying. Sorry about that. That's how much I don't look at the screen. I only look at the chat section and my hands. So I apologize that. It's quite unpleasant. Wow, it's really unpleasant. I'm sorry, I'm gonna a little bit stop here and then. Yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot really do this one, knowing that it's. I'm sorry, I just don't wanna continue that. I will keep showing this one, probably then it's not gonna change the. It is changing the focus. Come on. Wow. Well, I apologize that. Thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko live streaming. Ooh, I wish I knew that before that. Well, I'll fix it for the next time. So I do the live streaming every Thursday night, starting from 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time to the 10 o'clock ish. I decided to kind of cut off today early because of the camera, but if you can come, like, not if you can, I want to keep this Thursday live streaming as a place for us to get together. When Japanese has the word for the ibasho, it's more like a place to belong to. And for that, I would like to welcome anybody who wants to learn, who wants to share some just Sashiko related topics. If you're watching this as the archive and if you have any questions about cultural perspective, please leave the comments. I can bring that topic to the next time. And if you could press the like button, it's gonna be very helpful for me to keep this channel healthy. And yep, I gotta go back to check the camera to fix it somehow. All right, thank you so much for coming, and then I will see you next week. Bye bye. Thank you.